Hi everyone, and welcome to today's webinar with THE student and Duolingo English Test. I'm Holly with Times Higher Education, and I'm really excited to be joined by Caroline Fisher and Julie Chapman from Duolingo English Test. Today's session will focus on what universities see when they receive your results and how your proficiency test affects your application. You'll also get to hear some advice from former university admissions officers and experts, as well as some tips for your test journey. Throughout the session, please feel free to use the Q&A function at the bottom of the screen, and we will try and get to as many questions as possible by the end of the webinar. Caroline and Julie, I'm going to hand over to you both now.
Thanks so much, Holly, and hello, everyone. Thank you for joining us for today's webinar, which is one of a series of webinars that we've done with THE student, and you can find those on their website. So as Holly mentioned, today we are talking all about universities and how the DET fits into your university application, as well as some advice from the admissions point of view. So to do that, I brought with me my friend and colleague, Julie Chapman. Julie, do you want to introduce yourself?
Hi, everyone. Thank you so much for joining today. As Caroline mentioned, my name is Julie Chapman. I come to you from the Duolingo English Test with 15 years of university admissions experience between Bryn Mawr College and Vanderbilt University. I spent that time overseeing the international application process, traveling the globe, and getting to know a lot of students from all over the place and helping you navigate the application process. Now at Duolingo with the Duolingo English Test, and happy to be here with you today.
Thanks, Julie. And like I said, my name is Caroline. I have my new last name on here because I actually just got married, but I work at the Duolingo English Test on test taker relations and content. So I make a lot of our test readiness or test prep materials that you might see. I do our YouTube channel, our social media, email, blogging, all of those good things. And I also run our student advisory board. So I'll kick it off here with a quick overview of the Duolingo English Test. This, in case you haven't heard of it, is an online on-demand English proficiency test brought to you from Duolingo. Duolingo is on a mission to make accessible education more accessible to all. And we believe that English tests should be a bridge, not a barrier. So we created the DET actually over 6 years ago now that it's 2023. And here are a couple of test takers' favorite benefits of the test. One is that it's super convenient. You can take the DET anytime, anywhere, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year. You don't need to make an appointment, and you don't need to go to a test center. You can take the DET from anywhere if you have an hour of free time, a computer, and a strong internet connection. The test is faster than other tests you may be used to. It's only 1 hour long, and you get your results in 48 hours. And once you have a certified result, you can share with any university instantly. And I'll talk a little bit more about that later in this presentation. The test is affordable. It's a fraction of the cost of other tests, and you can send your results for free. So you can send to an unlimited number of universities for no additional cost. The test is accurate. We have a lot of amazing assessment science researchers here at Duolingo who work on creating and adding to the test all the time to ensure that the test is reliable and secure. This is super important for our university partners who want to know that they are going to be getting a student whose English proficiency reflects their score on the Duolingo English Test. So that's why we really make sure to invest in the latest technology, the latest research, and that's also what enables us to have that faster test, that 1 hour long test, because we're able to determine your proficiency more efficiently. And finally, the test is trusted. It is accepted by over 4,200 programs right now around the world, in the US, but also in many countries such as the UK and also Canada and Australia. In Ireland, The DET is accepted for study visas, which means it's accepted by every Irish university, which is awesome. And yeah, lots of universities to check out, and you can find them all on our website. Okay, we can talk now about the process of sharing your results with universities, how they're going to receive them, how you do it, and a little bit more here. So the first thing you need to determine is if your university accepts the test. The best way to do that is to go to our website, englishtest.duolingo.com/institutions, and search your university by name, or you can search by location if you're looking at a state in the US, for example, or a country. You can search that way. So once you've seen that your university is on this list, all of these universities are hyperlinked so that you can visit their websites. I highly, highly recommend, and in fact insist, that you cross-check your university website to make sure you know what their score requirements are, because there is not a universally accepted standard for DET scores. Each university has their own overall score, either range or minimum, that they recommend, as well as a range or a minimum for each of the sub-scores on the Duolingo English test. So there are 4 sub-scores. Your overall score is calculated on a scale of 0 to 160, and each university is going to have a different preference. So just make sure you go to their website, get that latest information, make sure you're going to be able to share your results and that your results are going to meet their expectations. That's super important to do at the beginning of your process, to make sure that you're all ready to take the DET and send your results. How long does it take to get results? As I mentioned, the test is only 1 hour long, and our proctoring period is 48 hours. So all of our proctoring is done by expert human proctors, but it's actually done asynchronously, which means after you take the test. Your test session is recorded, both your video as well as your screen recording, and those are sent to expert human proctors around the world who have experience in teaching English as a second language and evaluating English proficiency testing. And they will review your test session to make sure that you're following all our rules and requirements. So another recommendation I have is make sure you're super familiar with those rules and requirements before you even start the testing process. Once your test is certified, you will receive an email and your results will be ready. You can view results, and as soon as you have them, you can share them instantly with any university you want to, again, at no additional cost. Sharing your results is always free. So how exactly do you share your results? Well, this is a screenshot of the Duolingo English Test homepage when you are logged in. So here are 2 tests. You probably won't have scores that are this far apart. This is just an example from one of our support staff, and we sort of take the test all the time for different reasons. But probably in this case, you would want to share this 145, which is a very high score on the DET. So you're going to go to this button that you see here where the cursor is that says send results, and you simply click that button. Once you click that, you'll see a pop-up screen like this one, and you'll have the option to search for your university. So make sure you are spelling your university name correctly. And when you see it pop up, for example, this person has searched for Columbia University. They see Columbia University undergraduate admissions. So make sure that you are selecting the proper undergraduate or graduate level program here when you share your results, just to make sure that whoever you want to see your scores will receive them. Then you press next, and the next screen you press share. It's super easy and super fast. And once you've done that share, they will have access to your results instantaneously. I do want to say on this slide that this is the only way to share your certified DET results. You will receive a score certificate. Do not send a PDF or a link to that certificate to your university via email. That is not considered a secure result. You must send them through the homepage. That is the way that the university can verify that these are your actual valid results. So here's an example of what we call a university dashboard. So each university admissions officer they're actually going to have their own DET account. And when they log in, they're going to see a collection of student scores. These are just, again, example sort of fake scores that we are showing you as an example, because we would never share real test taker scores. But this is exactly what that dashboard looks like. So if you're a university admissions officer, you're looking at your dashboard, you're going to see each student's name in these rows here. When you click to expand, you're going to see a summary of their overall score, as I mentioned, as well as their 4 sub-scores here. You're also going to be able to see your speaking and writing sample. Those are the longer open-ended questions that come at the end of the test. Universities can watch that entire speaking sample and they can read that entire writing sample. So of course you're doing your best throughout the whole test, but make sure you really dedicate the time that you have allotted for these 2 questions, because universities do view these, they do watch your video and they do read your writing sample to get to know you better and to get to know your English proficiency skills better. So those are all of the things that universities can see. Julie might be able to speak more to this, but typically if they see that your scores are in line with their expectations, they take a look at your samples, they're happy with it. That's pretty much all they want to see out of your English proficiency test. They're not looking here for more about you as a candidate. That's going to come in the other pieces of your application, your essays, your other test scores, your grades, your extracurriculars. Those are all pieces of one holistic application. And Julie will talk a little bit more about her tips for applying when we get to that section. But yes, this is exactly what universities are going to see when they receive your DET scores. Okay, with that, I will pass it over to my friend Julie to talk about her expert admissions tips and best practices.
Awesome. Thank you, Caroline. And thank you for that great overview on what we see as admissions officers. So as I mentioned, I currently work for the Duolingo English Test, but previously had spent significant amount of time working for colleges and universities in the US. And during that time had a great opportunity to get to know students and understand a significant amount of depth with regards to the application process and a lot of the stress that comes along with it. So what I've tried to do for you is to break down the different things that you'll need to consider as you're going through the university application process, and things to keep in mind to help guide you. And the first thing, and this is going to sound really simple, but take a little bit of time to get to know yourself. You might sit there and you think, but I know myself pretty well. Well, knowing yourself in high school or at the university level is a little bit different. And so you want to make sure that you really understand what you're looking for and the type of environment that you want academically, socially, from a location standpoint, because all of that will end up having an impact on your university experience. So are there specific programs that you're interested in studying? Are there specific types of activities or community involvement that you like to have that you want to ensure that a university is going to have? Are there specific types of community building activities or demographics of the student body that you're looking for to be represented? Is there a specific part of the world that you want to go to? There are 4,000 colleges and universities across the United States, thousands and thousands more worldwide. So there's a lot of options that are available out there. And one location is going to be great for one person, another location is going to be great for another person. So understanding a little bit more about what you want from a geographic standpoint. And then finally, universities are expensive. They can be. There are some that can be a little bit more affordable than others, but understanding a little bit more about what you can afford financially with or without scholarship, with or without financial assistance. Carolyn, can you go to the next slide for me, please? Thank you. So keeping in mind the fact that there are thousands of colleges and universities worldwide, you want to take some time to get organized before you even start researching the options that are out there. I'm a huge fan of a spreadsheet and keeping things organized in that way, but a different method might work best for you in terms of how you're collecting information. But I highly recommend keeping a spreadsheet with all of the institutions that you're considering, and keeping a track of some specific pieces with regards to that institution. Understanding the deadlines that are going to be necessary. Are there different deadlines for the application and different deadlines for the scholarship? Are there different deadlines for specific documentation that you need to submit? All of that you want to be sure that you understand, because for some universities, deadlines are deadlines. And if you don't meet those deadlines, they're not going to consider your application. So you want to set yourself up for success in that regard. Understanding the admissions requirements, for better or for worse, every university worldwide is going to have slightly different requirements in terms of what they need from students. You want to understand those up front from the beginning so that you can ensure that you have everything that is necessary. And then I'll take that one step further in understanding the testing requirements. Testing requirements vary drastically worldwide at universities. And so you want to make sure that you're meeting those testing requirements, because generally speaking, you're going to have to plan that out significantly in advance. The DET is great because you can do it right when you need to, but not all testing providers are similar in that regard. So you want to make sure that you have those testing requirements and understanding those. And then as you dig into the colleges and universities, you know what you want to do and what you need from getting to know yourself first. You want to put down the pros and cons of the colleges and universities that you're considering. What are some things that they're meeting? What are some things that they're not with regards to what you specifically are looking for? And then any additional notes that you have made about that institution. Was the were the school colors something that appealed to you? Did you like the school mascot? Was there a specific type of dining hall that appealed to you in terms of the food that is offered? Keeping any additional notes as to why a college or university might appeal to you. And then again, going back to the financial aspect, making sure that you understand the financials and the financial aid and scholarships of each institution that you're considering. So once you have created the spreadsheet, you can start digging in and start researching more about the institutions that you're considering. There weren't a lot of great things that came out of the global pandemic, but one of the things that did was the fact that colleges and universities are now very much providing information virtually to students. So they have information sessions available, they have virtual visits that you can do, and that serves our international friends and students considering institutions in a great capacity because that information wasn't available online previously. So take advantage of the fact that you have those virtual visit options, and attend any virtual information sessions that they might be hosting, visit their website. And then additionally, a lot of institutions offer the opportunity for you to connect with current students so that you can understand the current student experience. All of this is going to really help you best prepare for the application process. Caroline, next slide, please. And so that application process, this is probably one of the most daunting pieces of the whole process. The research is daunting because there's a lot of it that needs to get done, but the application process is daunting because you want to put your best foot forward. You want to produce an application that is going to catch the eye of an admissions officer and help them see why you would be a good fit for their institution. But the best piece of advice is going to be the first one that you see on here, and that is to be yourself. Oftentimes, students approach the application with, I need to provide the admissions officer the information that they want to see, the information that they want in order to select me. But it's actually the flip of that. I, as an admissions officer, reading through thousands of applications every year, I always wanted to see the student for who they were, not who they thought I wanted them to be in the application process. And so going back to that, getting to know yourself, thinking about the things that you've done in high school or in your university experience, if you're thinking about graduate programs, thinking about the things that you have done done and the things that you are most proud of, and then brag about those, okay? Oftentimes in life, we want to be really humble about our accomplishments. We want to downplay them a little bit, but the reality is that you want to brag about yourself. This is the one time in your life where it is okay and encouraged for you to brag about your accomplishments. So really highlight the things that you have done, because that is exactly what admissions officers want to see. They want to see your best version of yourself, not the person that you think they want you to be. And then you can write your essays, your personal statements, the written samples that colleges and universities are looking for. And the best piece of advice here is to proofread. The spelling assistance, the spell check, Grammarly, all of those things are great, but you always want to proofread and read it out loud, read it to somebody, make sure that you as a human understand that it sounds the way that it should sound. There's a lot of help that online tools can help us with, but at the end of the day, you want to make sure you're proofreading them. And then submitting all of your documents. So once you've got your application together, submit all necessary documents. This includes any supporting documents that you need from teachers, from professors, from counselors, any transcripts that have to be submitted. There are pieces that you as the student will submit, but there's certainly pieces that others will submit. So you want to make sure that you have all of those submitted and that you're checking the status of your application on a regular basis to ensure that it all has been received by the university. A lot of institutions are going to have online platforms that you can access that will allow you to track that application status. It makes it very easy for you to do. You want to do that regularly to make sure that everything is there that needs to be there. All right, Caroline, and the next slide, please. And then you want to follow up. Okay, you want to check your email. This is can be a very foreign concept for students these days. Not as many students are using their email outside of a lot of other social platforms, but colleges and universities are going to use your email as the best method for communication with you. So you want to make sure that you're checking your email, making sure that you're staying informed on any decision releases, any updates that they need from you as a student. All of that will likely be communicated via email. And then celebrate your successes as they come. You can celebrate the fact that you submitted all your application, that you got all of the pieces of your applications in. That's a great thing to celebrate. You can celebrate the decisions that come out that are positive, but understand that sometimes things don't necessarily work out the way that you thought they would, but those are still things to celebrate, because ultimately this process, it may not look the way that you think it will, but it all works out in the end. It always does. Okay, it might take a little bit more time. It might take a little bit of a different path than you thought it would, but rest assured that at the end of the day, everything will work out the way that is intended to. And so celebrate the successes, even if they don't look the way that you thought they would. Ultimately, it's going to serve you best as a student. So with that, I hope that those tips were helpful for you. And that you can take this process in stride. It is overwhelming, but again, rest assured, it's all going to work out in the end. So I think with that, Caroline, we can turn it over to questions.
Thank you so much, Julie. I love that perspective, especially that last piece of advice. This is definitely a hard process, and you can all do it and stay positive. Live viewers, as your reward for joining us live today, in addition to answering your questions, which Holly's going to come back on and let us know what's been happening in the Q&A. This is a coupon code here, which is going to get you 20% off the price of a single Duolingo English test. You are only permitted to use this coupon one time, so please do not use it more than once, and do not share the code. If we see people who are not live participants on the webinar using it, we'll have to shut it down for everyone. It is, like, for security purposes, quite a nonsense group of letters here. So I highly recommend, if you are watching, write this down somewhere or type it down on your computer right now. I'll read it out for you in case you are joined on mobile. The code is THE3Y7XK67G. And this code is valid for the next 30 days. So you can purchase the test in the next 30 days using this code for 20% off. Once you purchase your Duolingo English test, keep in mind that you have to take it within 21 days. So the longest this code could possibly affect you for is if you're ready to take your test in the next month or two, right? Because if you wait 30 days to use this to purchase with this code, then you'll have 21 days to take the test. If you're not ready right now to take your DET, you can always use our bundle option, which is 2 tests, which are also offered at a price of 20% off, but you just have to buy 2 tests at once rather than a single test. This code is only valid once again on single tests. It is not valid on the bundled test option. So it'll get you 20% off 1 test. And again, recommend you write this down. Okay, I will welcome Holly back now to let us know what questions were asked.
Thank you both so much for that. I think that was incredibly insightful for everyone watching. We do have a couple of questions that came in during the session, so I'll just read out the first one. I know this has been mentioned a few times in previous sessions, but how long is the test valid for?
Yeah, your results are valid for 2 years. So from the day you receive your certified result, that result is going to remain valid for 2 years. So if you're super ambitious and you're getting ready to apply to university in a couple of years' time, just make sure you factor that.
Perfect. We do have another question here, and it is about how the DET measures against other English language tests.
Julie, do you want to answer this one? I think it's about whether admissions officers kind of have a preference for any one test over the other.
Yeah, so we had another question as well about accepting institutions in other countries. And right now, the DET, we are constantly growing the number of colleges and universities that are accepting the test. That's something that the team that I work on specifically is actively engaged in, reaching out to colleges and universities and helping them begin to accept the DET. As an admissions officer, if an institution accepts the DET and they're saying that it's the same as taking the TOEFL or the IELTS, then it's the same as taking the TOEFL or the IELTS or any of the other testing providers that are out there. So if they're saying that they don't have a preference for one test over the other, the truth is that they don't have a preference for one test over the other. And as Caroline mentioned, when a college or university sees a language exam within an application, generally speaking, if you meet their minimum requirement, then you're good to go in regards to the language proficiency that's expected of that college or university. As an admissions officer, when I was reviewing applications, if I saw that a student had the minimum score that we required, I saw that, I looked at the writing sample, I looked at the interview, and I moved on with the other pieces of the application. Essentially, I just wanted to make sure that a student was going to be successful with the level of English fluency that was expected on our college and university campus. That once they sat in the classroom with professor and with other students and other native English speakers, that they were going to be successful in the learning environment there. That was really the purpose of that, was that we wanted to ensure success for the student.
Thank you so much for that. Related to that question, is there a way in which you can check which institutions do accept the DET?
Yep. On our website is the full list. So students, if you go to englishtest.duolingo.com, or even if you just Google Duolingo English Test, that will take you right to our website. There are a couple of tabs at the top of the website. You're going to want to go to the one that says for test takers, and there's going to be a tab about institutions. That's all of our universities that accept the test. So again, you're welcome to scroll through there. It's quite a long list, so highly recommend searching by name of university or by country or region. But yes, best way is to go to our website and check that out.
Lovely, thank you. Is there a way to practice the DET before taking the actual test?
Yes, and I saw a few questions about test readiness or test prep in the Q&A as well, so I'll answer all of those in one go. To answer the question that you asked, Holly, yes, we have a free practice test available on our website. You can take it as many times as you want. The practice test is a shorter version of our real test, and it will show you how to interact with all the question types that you're going to encounter on the DET. So highly recommend checking that out, even if you're just curious. Definitely head to our website and take the practice test. In terms of test prep, the very best way, number one piece of advice for preparing for the Duolingo English test is to practice speaking, reading, writing, and listening to English language. That is the best way to improve your score, is by improving your English proficiency, keeping it fresh, making sure you're fully ready. On top of that, we have a lot of other resources, including our YouTube channel where I make videos, as well as a whole readiness page on our website, which again is available in the test taker section. That's going to walk you through all the question types. It's going to give you more information about the rules and requirements, going to answer your questions about how long you can expect to spend on individual questions, things like that. So tons of free resources out there. We do not believe that test prep should be an additional expense on top of the test. We want to provide that information for free. Another great resource is our hub on THE Students website. It has our other 5 webinars that we've done. So check that out as well.
Caroline and Julie, thank you so much for answering those questions. There are a few others here, but I think most of them have been covered during your presentation. But before we go, there are a lot of questions here focusing on individual circumstances of the people taking the test. Is it possible to remind students the best way to get in touch with your team if they have specific questions?
Yes, thanks, Holly. Please reach out to our support team about individual test results. Unfortunately, due to privacy reasons, there's no other way for us to weigh in on the circumstances of your test. The way to reach our support team, the very best way, is again to go to our website, go to the bottom right corner to the big orange help button, and chat live with our support team. They'll be able to pull up your test and view the circumstances and give you more information. And they're available to help all the time, basically. So please reach out to our support team. Highly recommend engaging with them on individual test sessions.
Perfect. Thank you for everyone that's watched today's session. You can find all the previous webinars that we've done with Duolingo English Test over the past few months on the THE student website. So you can go back and view all of those, and they cover all parts of the test taking process. And you can hear stories from students that have taken the test and many other great resources. So Caroline and Julie, thank you so much for being with us today, and thank you for everyone watching. Bye everyone.